right. Well, here we are, and I'm tired, and she looks like an angel, even though it's rather late in the evening. We're with
Yes.
Bonni Dichone, and she, well, I should say, I've been lucky enough to have her in two of my movies, and that has been really, really cool. You know,
For both of us.
well, from the first time we had a table reading of one of my first scripts, there was a very good feeling about her. And I was looking forward to her being in the movie. But at the time, she was pregnant. So
Oh,
that was
that's right.
interesting.
Yeah, I forgot
So,
about
Bonni,
that.
could you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Bonni Dichone, as Mark said, and I have had the great honor of being in two of Mark's films and hopefully two of many more to come. But yeah, it's been great.
Well, tell us about your life a little bit.
Oh
Where you
gosh.
were born and how you got your name and all where that came from and all that good
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, sure. So, gosh, I was born actually in Korea, and I was adopted when I was 5 months old to a family here in Washington State. And yeah, I grew up mostly in Spokane most of my life and danced a lot. I used to be a dancer and an academic and got a degree and got married and had kids and eventually found my way into acting. And I love acting now. It's not my first love. Dance is my first love, but acting does scratch an itch. So that's like the briefest overall of me is that.
Almost too brief. You've had a
Too brief.
fascinating life. I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of dance did you do and when did you start doing it?
Yeah, I started with ballet and clogging actually when I was I think 3 or 4 years old, and I fell in love with it. And I danced my entire life until I was a senior in high school. And I had kind of hoped to go into a dance career. And I fell down a flight of stairs and ripped up the right side of my body. And at that age, there was so much recovery involved, and I just got discouraged and I quit dancing. And so I got a full ride piano performance scholarship at a university, and a semester into that, I broke a hand. And so I kind
Ooh.
of was like, okay, I get it. I'm not supposed to have a career in the arts. And it was also not really encouraged in my household to have a career in the arts. And so I turned to a subject that I was good at, which was math. And I went on to get a PhD in mathematics and ended up teaching math at the university level for 20 years. In the midst of that, while I was getting my PhD, I did find my way back to dance. I started doing musical theater, which became a huge, huge love of mine, and is still with me to this day. And eventually, I got back to ballet and danced with a small contemporary ballet company, and really kind of got to go back and do some of the things with dance that I wanted to with that for a few years. And yeah, so it's always been this fight to be an artist. I've always just, yeah, I've spent my whole life trying to be an artist. And I feel like right now, strangely enough, in my, well, I won't say my age, but in my advanced years, that I'm finally really fully stepping into truly being an artist with my acting of all things and choreography. So it's been a great journey.
What about your family life, if I may ask? In the middle
Yes.
of all this, I know you had some children,
I
you know.
did, yeah. I've been married now to a wonderful man. My husband's name is Paulo. He is from Mozambique. And his that's where I got the very cool last name Dichone. He is fluent in Portuguese and Spanish and Indao, his native language, and we met salsa dancing. Um, and we just instantly fell in love. And we've been married now. Let's see, what year is this? We're coming up on 13 years. And we've been together for 15 almost now. And now we have two beautiful children. I have a 3-year-old son named Raphael and a 5, almost 6-year-old daughter named Georgina. And they are just the best thing in my life. Very busy, very, very busy ages, but so much fun. So yeah.
You were a mathematics professor.
I
Uh,
was.
and you were also a dancer doing
Yep.
contemporary dance and forms of ballet and all this, and
Mhm.
starting to act. And
Mhm.
then you made a very, what I think was a very courageous move of just quitting as a professor and going for it creatively.
I did. It was kind of insane. Like I said, I had taught at the university level for 20 years. I had just received my full promotion to full professor. If you're in the academic world, you start out as an assistant, and then you get promoted to associate, and then you get your full professorship and tenure. So I was a full professor and tenured, and I was super unhappy in my job. And I wanted to be home with my kids. And I'd really lucked out with my daughter. I got to be home with her a lot because of COVID. So I gave birth to her, had maternity leave, and then went back to work. And then COVID hit. So we were working remotely from home. So I ended up actually being home with her the first couple of years of her life. And I was missing that experience with my son. And I didn't like that. Um, I also started therapy and realized that I had picked mathematics as a subject because it was the one subject my mother couldn't control or understand. And I was super good at math. I'm a published author. I've got 3 textbooks under my name and over 20 papers. But it was just something that I did, and I wasn't um, fulfilled or happy doing it. I've, like I said, I've always spent my whole life trying to be an artist. And so I talked to my husband, I'm like, can we do this? I'm walking away from a big salary and a big career that I've spent a lot of time developing, and I did it. And it's been the best decision. I've had zero regrets. I miss absolutely nothing about academic life. Minus the students. I had some really great students, and I enjoyed working with the people aspect of that. Um, but I'm loving being home with my kids. I'm loving being able to take acting gigs and not have to try and get time off or juggle schedule and that kind of thing. So it's given me a lot of freedom to do the things that I want to pursue. So
Hmm. Well, you sent some pictures of some of your movies, and I'm going to look through them here. There's
okay.
one of you as a nurse. Is that one of your recent ones?
Yeah, that's the project I just finished filming just a couple of weeks ago. It's a film called Tell No One, all homegrown in Spokane, Washington. Professional company here. And I had the great pleasure of being on set playing it. A nurse who's kind of a nurse Cratchit character. I ran around a lot with a syringe, threatening to stab people with it. So it was a really great project. And we'll get to it, the Mythos murders soon, but I had the great pleasure of working with Allie, who you've already had on the podcast. She actually got to come over to Spokane and was in that film with me as well. By no work of my own, like it was just random. She messaged me. She's like, "Are you on this film? I'm coming over to Spokane." And so it was really fun to reunite with her and have some scenes with her here.
Or she mentioned that too, how that
Yeah.
great it was to see you again. Of
Yeah, she's
course,
the
when she was
greatest.
with you, she was playing the role of Lieutenant Kane, and on screen, she
Yeah,
almost never smiled.
she never did. She
No,
never did. But
no.
I mean, she is just such a fantastic human, a great actor. She's got a great podcast. She's a great mother and a great wife and just an amazing person. So I'm so glad to have met her through the Mythos murders. I think we're going to be buddies for life.
Well, another movie you've made is God Complex. What was that?
Yeah, so that was a proof of concept kind of short uh, spec pilot, that one of my friends, Stephen Morton, wrote and starred in. And I had a lot of fun playing a professor, actually. in that film. And so that was a fun project to work on. And the director and was Caden Butera, who's another great Inland Northwest filmmaker. And so it's always fun to work with the locals, quote unquote, the locals, because we have a lot of great filmmakers. I was really thrilled to meet so many in Seattle working on the Mythos murders this last summer. And there's a whole similar community here on the east side of the state. So yeah.
So another movie that you made was called The Prosecutor. What was that about?
Yeah, another great short film done by the Sarabacha brothers. They are some filmmakers that used to be working here in the Inland Northwest. And I love that film because I've always, at one point, I had considered being a lawyer. And I was not playing a lawyer in this film. I was actually playing a reporter who had some information for this lawyer. But I got to work with one of my favorite actors in the whole wide world, and one of my best friends, Stephen Lloyd. And so he and I had a lot of fun working on that project, and it turned out pretty good.
By coming here to meet with you. You have to
Yeah. So I was a reporter, and I had some juicy facts that I couldn't just publish, and I was passing this information along and saying, "Hey, look at this." And it was all kind of covert, and we'd meet in parking lots and, hotel rooms.
Dead.
Okay, another movie that I have a clip for with you in it is Going Home.
Yes, Going Home is a great TV series that has played on the streaming platform. It was called PureFlix. It's owned by the Sony Affirm company, and it was a series written by Dan Merchant, who, if you Google him, has been a showrunner and a writer on shows that you'd recognize. Z Nation for one locally here, but some really big LA shows as well. And the series had 2 seasons that was shot here, and I got to play a surgical assistant. And I was standing next to the surgeon in the room was George Newbern, who, if you look him up, you may not know him by name, but you would recognize him. He played Charlie on the show Scandal. He was the fiance in the Steve Martin film Father of the Bride. And so it was really cool to be acting next to someone of his caliber, somebody I'd grown up watching on TV. And so, yeah, it was a really cool experience. I'm completely covered from head to toe in scrubs and a mask and a hat, so you can't even tell it's me, but the experience and the credit was incredible.
And also Waking Lazarus.
Waking Lazarus is a full feature film that I was a part of here in Spokane. It has yet to be released. I think it might have a 2025 release. That film is really special to me for a lot of reasons. We started filming 1 month after my daughter was born. And so I remember going to set and having an overnight shoot and sneaking off to pump and worrying about her. It was the first time I had left her for more than an hour. But the work of the film, it's based on a best-selling, award-winning novel by T.L. Hines, and it's got this great kind of mystical sci-fi drama feel to it. And yeah, I hope they can get it edited and out. I hope the world gets to see it, but it was a good project.
And there's another movie. It's Recursion.
We're zeroing in on 300
Recursion, yeah, that was a short that I did. Very super cool. It was a sci-fi short. Written and directed and produced and everything by Caden Butera here in the Inland Northwest. And I was the captain of a spaceship. The only female captain amongst all of these male astronauts, so to speak, and we were it's a fun film. The quality of it's super high. It's been picked up by a lot of little sci-fi channels and things like that, so it was a fun project to work on.
Now,
West.
were you in battles,
Yeah,
or
it
were
could
you on
work.
a
I mean, the
peacekeeping
food-
mission, or what was
No,
happening?
no, we were,
Who
oh
goes
gosh,
down,
it's
there's
been
gonna be
so
trouble.
long now.
All right, who wants to volunteer?
I don't
I'll
even,
go.
we were not in
Hell,
battle.
I'll
We
go
were
with you.
definitely flying. I was definitely
Press
flying a
Castle for
spaceship
launch.
and I was not the main
We're getting a
character.
structural
Two of
readout down here.
our space
On the
workers, were they
southeast side.
astronauts? I don't know
I'm
what they
looking at a
were.
man-made
End up encountering
formation
this
here.
alien.
You're telling me the company
and,
sent people
they
out
have a
here
whole
before us?
experience, but you have to watch
Why the hell
it
would they keep them?
to see what happens.
Oh, well, no, you looked really good as the captain. I was enjoying
Thank
that
you.
clip.
Yeah,
So,
it was great.
mhm. So would have been of all those, taking Mythos Murders out of the equation, and Dark Landings, which was a short anyway.
Mhm.
What's been your favorite roles? What kind do you like the most?
Oh gosh. I really love doing comedy, which I don't actually get a chance to do. And I didn't send you any clips because most of the comedy I've done has been part of like 48-hour film festivals or something like that. So it's, quickly put together. But I tend to land roles that are cops, lawyers, doctors, teachers, that kind of thing. And I enjoy those kind of roles. If I could land a perfect gig, it would be, a series regular on a show like NCIS or Law and Order or something like that. It's just in my wheelhouse. It comes really naturally to me to be in those kinds of roles, and I enjoy it. So, and I think I've got the academic and educational background to be able to swallow some of that big vocabulary that comes along with like procedurals, medical, and law and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Well, let's hope Dark Landings gets funded,
Yes,
because that
please.
would be perfect for you.
It would. That's why I love it. And I love that script. I love the message of that script. It was, yeah.
But right now, we're on post production on Mythos Murders, and you had a
Mm-hmm.
big part in that. You were the lead actress in that. Can you talk about what you were, without giving too many spoilers away?
Okay. I'll try not to.
Talk about what you did and who you were.
Yeah, that project, wow, I'm almost speechless just thinking about it. It was the first time that I had been number one on a call sheet, and maybe the last, or maybe the last for a long time anyway. And it was, playing a cop slash detective, and right in my wheelhouse again. And I loved the way Mo, my character, interacted with all of these other characters. Mo was kind of, even though she was the newbie, she was steady, and solid going through interacting with a lot of characters that are kind of larger than life, in different ways. It was the first time that I had the opportunity to have a love interest in a film. So that was really fun. I got to work with Tim Guran, who's an amazing actor, who made me feel so comfortable, and that was a lot of fun. And then so many of the other actors on the film, Allie, that I already mentioned, Adara, who books everything in the Pacific Northwest, and for good reason. DBK, my goodness, what an actor! One of the finest actors I've ever worked with. Just so in the pocket. Philip, I mean, I could go on and on. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but it was just such a phenomenal experience to work with everybody, all of the crew, so supportive, so hardworking. There was never a grumbling moment, no matter how late it got or how long the day was. Everybody was just on top of their game, and yeah, it was a magical experience. And the script is great, and I can't wait to see it.
Mm. Oh,
So,
it's getting close. Now, was this the first time you ever murdered any, or not murdered? You defended yourself and killed somebody. Was
oh my
playing
goodness,
Jan Fitzgerald.
Molly. How could I not mention Molly? Oh my goodness. You guys just wait till you see Molly in this film, like what she did with her character. I'm not giving anything away. She's amazing. Yeah, we had a fight scene. Yeah, and it was so great working with her. We made sure we communicated a lot, and it felt really cool shooting it. And I don't know, we'll just have to see how it got edited all together, but yeah.
Well, I'll give a little bit of a spoiler, and that's
Okay.
that you got to take out both of the villains of the
Did.
in various
Yeah.
ways. I won't say how.
No. Unexpected. But
So that was fun for you.
it was really fun. I think secretly I watched consume lots of television and lots of films as a study, for an actor. And I always am envious of these actors who are in these huge martial arts films or other kinds of action films where you watch the behind the scenes and they go and train for a year or 6 months, or they learn a new martial art or something for this film and they get to work on it for a long time. I've always wanted to be a part of something like that. I think it's maybe the dancer in me as well. I love the rehearsal process. I love learning new skills and things like that. So getting to do these fight scenes in Mythos Murder just give me a tiny little glance into that world. And it was rough. In that I was dealing with some physical personal injuries from dance. And so I wasn't as mobile or as strong as I would have liked to have been, but hopefully with all the choreography that you did, that was brilliant. And Rachel Taggart was on set helping to coach me for a small female of my size in doing that. Hopefully it's all camouflage that I'm not as strong as I wanted to be in that, but
No. It turned out real well. I've already seen the clips.
oh.
I'm just waiting for the final version myself, which of course,
Nice.
but I've got to stay away from it. I'd
Sure.
be like a mother hen. I'm like this, I mean, I was worse with Dark Landings, which was my first movie. The first day
Sure.
I was so obnoxious, I just had to shut up and go away,
Oh, I'm sure
because
Sandra probably gave you that look
oh,
and
she gave me
sent you
more than
on
a
your
look.
way.
She took me aside and
Kicked you
told me, I mean, and I deserved it totally. I
out.
totally
Sure.
agreed. I said, "You're right. Yeah, I got to shut up."
Yeah.
But hey, speaking of Sandra, what's it like working with Sandra as a director?
Oh, she's great. She comes from an acting background herself. So I think and casting as well. So I think she has an understanding a little bit of where the actor's head is and maybe the lack of understanding an actor has about what the crew is doing and other things. And so I think she was really good about explaining things and making things very clear and keeping the set calm and things rolling. And I loved it watching her watch the performances because she would just get so giddy and so excited when she was getting the performance that she wanted from people. And so, yeah, yeah, she was great.
Hmm. Yeah, I always enjoyed that too. I could always tell things were going well when she was smiling like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
she couldn't hide it. She would just be like a little kid in a candy shop, just happy.
Well, you made me really happy with the comment you made when I played that horrible cult leader. And you said that I did a good job at that. That meant a lot to me because it's my biggest role probably ever, and you can't
You
even
were
see it's
fantastic.
me.
Seriously, after I saw you in it and doing it, there was no one else that could have done that but you. Like it was meant to be you. I know maybe it wasn't supposed to be, but it was meant to be you. Like it was terrifying, which is exactly what it was supposed to be.
Well, what was interesting to me is your great screams that you did. And you had said that screaming was an issue before, but you did a champion screams.
Go figure. Digging deep. That's the work, I guess.
Mm.
I'm not typically a screamer, but who knew?
Well, it went real well. It was a lot of fun, but I appreciated that. So thank you.
Yeah.
So coming up, what are your goals? What do you plan to do? What would you like to do?
I've kind of got this momentum going. I had a really amazing year as an actor
Mhm.
and a choreographer last year. Not one that I expect to repeat by any means, but if it does, I'll be grateful. I was on my first network TV show, The Cleaning Lady. I choreographed a huge musical, Cats, here in town. I was on Train Dreams, which just had its release at Sundance. And I haven't seen the film, but hopefully my scene with Joel Edgerton didn't get cut. But I also was able to work as a choreographer on that film as well. And then Mythos Murders happened, and I did another premiere reading of a play, and the whole year was just kind of one thing after another like that. It's like the heavens opened for me. And it was really encouraging. It was at a time when I really needed it, in many ways. Very cliche, but I was thinking of quitting and, maybe this isn't for me and that kind of thing. And all of these opportunities kind of presented themselves. So moving forward for the future, my hope is just to kind of keep that momentum going, continue to book, continue to audition, and I'm open to whatever comes across my path. It's one of those things where timing and balance with family and life and that kind of thing can always be tricky, but somehow it always works out. My husband's super supportive, and so we'll just see. Ideally, long term, I'd love to, like I said, be a series regular on some sort of procedural show. I think that's the dream. But I love working with all these indie filmmakers as well, and just putting in the time.
Bunny, before we sign off, that picture behind you on the wall over your left shoulder,
Yeah,
is that you dancing?
it is not that. Those are all posters for the Pacific Northwest Ballet, which I think is one of the top companies in the country. I love to get over to Seattle and see them whenever I can.
Oh, okay. I thought
And
it
then
might
beneath
be.
them is all of my old math books from my office from my years of teaching.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah,
Math,
it is a beautiful science, and it is not for the faint of heart.
No, no, no. I mean, I was good to a certain thing, and then it's just like, okay, I'm done. That's it. But hey,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for being here. So thanks a lot.